Thanks, Jürgen. Hello, everybody. I'm Christoph, founder of Synesty, a no-code automation platform. We're based in Jena, and our customers are mainly from e-commerce, and we're using OSGi for more than 10 years. I think we started in 2010, and since 1 year I did a lot of stuff in Bnd, in Bndtools, and contributed some stuff. And I'm glad that I'm here today with Peter, who supports me in presenting you what's new in the upcoming Bndtools version 7.1. So, quick overview of what I'm going to talk about. This is basically a screenshot of all the parts of Bndtools. Bndtools is an Eclipse plugin, basically UI for the. There's also a command line tool called Bnd, these are the different parts. It has some kind of package explorer. Here you see repositories. This is the Bnd run configuration, similar to the features we just heard about. This is a Bnd file editor, and here we have the resolution view, and I'm going to talk about all of this. So, which brings me to a small table of content. We start with the Bnd run. We talk a little bit about templates. We talk about what happened in the resolution view. We look at repositories, and then what happened, a little bit also happened in the core. And it's basically, this whole presentation is a changelog with commentary, which you can find here. So the Bnd run, which is one of the workhorses of Bndtools, is where you specify your requirements. So these are the bundles I want to resolve. And then this button here, the resolve button, is the magic button, the very most important button in Bnd. You press it and Bnd figures out what else do you need to resolve everything and create the run bundles for you. So usually when you work with this, there's the situation where you have resolution failures and you get this. It usually looks like this, and I try to make it look a little bit nicer. What I just did is pretty simple. I tried to make this error message, which was quite large and ugly. I just tried to make it look like a sentence. I added the word because, and I added this suffix, could not be provided by any other bundle or dependency, and suddenly it reads like a English sentence. Second thing I did was, there are cases where you couldn't resolve, but you couldn't find a real error, but it's just because you forgot that you had some blacklisted capabilities, because once you blacklist something, you never look at it again, and you forget about it. So now it's reminding you, also check your blacklist. Maybe there's something there which prevents you from resolving. Next thing is, there was, now the resolver also respects a log level setting, a resolve debug. There's a Bnd instruction called resolve debug. And if you have set this, now you also see in this error message that a part of this log file content and also a pointer to your file system, because it could be quite big, and you can just grab it or view it on the command line to go into more detail if you want to find out about weird resolution problems. So this wasn't there, now it's there. One thing which was also, there was a bug which prevented these errors, users constraint violations. They were not logged, they were swallowed. Now they are also in this log, I just showed. And it's also a nasty resolution problem where you have one bundle or one package, but it's provided by two bundles, and resolver doesn't know what to do. But now at least you see it somewhere and it's not swallowed anymore. Another thing we added, now you can press this resolve button multiple times, and it opens always this resolution result. What could you do with it? If you have lots of screen real estate, you could try one resolution, then maybe fiddle around a bit, do something else, try out another configuration, press it again, and compare the result side by side. What's this? Oh yeah, this is this resolution failure window again. We just added another filter here so that you could search this large list of unresolved packages for stuff, for clues you get here. It's just a little debugging helper. Improved handling of versions. So this is when you, for example, are in the run requirements and you press these little plus buttons, or you're adding bundles to the requirements or to the run bundles, or sometimes it's also possible with drag and drop from the list of repositories there on the left. Then BND automatically generates a version range according to whatever you do. So, and in the past there was a problem that sometimes this version range was too big or not right for the use case. So now, for example, it works a bit better. Let's say you are adding something to the run requirements. This bundle, for example, BND 7.1, and it now adds a version range up to the next major version. Yeah, because in run requirements it's okay to have a larger one, but this is exclusive 8. Yeah, so compared to when you add something to run bundles, for example, if you want to have a local bundle which is in your workspace, it automatically adds it as a snapshot version. If you do this with the same to run bundles with a Maven dependency, not in your workspace, you want to have a very small range, like from the 2 to the 3 micro version. So this behaved different before, and this was one of my first contributions, I think, after last Eclipse convention last year, when you talked about version, and I understood that this is basically an open range from here to everything. Yep. I didn't know that. So, templates. Templates are useful if you're getting started, and Peter added a nice thing called template fragments. So if you want to create a new workspace, now you can basically assemble your workspace from smaller different parts. For those of you knowing Bndtools from the past, there is also already something called templates, workspace templates, but it's just one complete workspace basically. And if you want to have a tiny different workspace, you have to create the thing again. So it's basically too large. Now you can say, okay, I want to have a fresh Bndtools workspace consisting of, I want to have the OSGi bundles and I want to have a Gradle build. We just check that. You can also double click on it and verify the GitHub repo. You can also add stuff yourself, and then you get a fresh Bndtools workspace setup with just the stuff you wanted. The repositories mainly. And for example, if you have checked the Gradle build and if you check the folder structure, you also have all the Gradle scripts and Gradle wrapper set up for you. And it's possible to contribute to this list I just showed. So if you want to, for example, like this indexed Maven fragment, this is not from Bndtools itself, this is from an external developer. So, and on this side, there is a description of how you can contribute to this page. So, what else?
You can also load them from the file system.
Oh yeah. So if you have something on your hard disk lying around, a fragment, you can also load that. Yeah, a new wizard. This was contributed by, I think, by Scott Lewis, I guess. Yeah. This is another advanced, or not advanced use case. The template fragments set up your workspace, but this wizard, it helps you to set up an OSGi project, basically consisting of an API bundle, an implementation bundle, and a consumer bundle. Oops, wrong button. Yeah, and if you use that this template, this new wizard, you basically get a full project with a Hello World BND run and all the example classes, so which helps you to get started with your first OSGi project, basically.
So here we could also do the same thing using workspace templates, right? What we have done in telecom as well. That we have separate workspace templates for API in the implementation and the consumer, and then you select, you click on new OSGi project, and then that will be automatically picked, and then click on it, select it, and then you can also create the API project, implementation project separately. So what's new here? So that's what we have done.
No, you can only create one project using those templates.
Yeah, one project each.
And this creates multiple
This
projects.
creates 3
That's
projects.
everything together. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's a good way to get
Does it
started.
support the templating mechanism we have with the single project templates, so that I can replace some name or whatever, or is it?
No, I'm not completely sure, but I think this is kind of hard-coded to this. This is a specific Java-based wizard.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he means to say that when you click on, like select the option like create the API project or something, then it should have the proper placeholder where you can actually type in what the package name would be, what the class name would be, like this, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, have to look it up.
Okay, resolution view. This is a very interesting piece. I didn't really know how to use it in the past, but the more I used Bndtools, I understood the purpose of it. The resolution view, I don't know if it's shown by default, but you have to add it, and it basically works together with the repositories. So you always have to look at both things. And basically what it shows you, for example here, I clicked on this, I selected with the mouse this Made in Central repository, and then it goes through all the bundles of this repository and shows you the requirements and the capabilities. And it allows you to apply some filters here to dive more or understand more what your repository provides. You don't have to do it on the whole repository. This is just an example. You can drill down to a single bundle and investigate what this bundle requires and what it provides. But if you do it with multiple bundles, for example, the whole repository, you get a more an overview. And yeah, what can we do with this? This is, for example, useful to understand what the resolver sees. For me, it is a visualizer of the resolving process, and it helps you debug. For example, you could hide optional requirements. Yeah, if the lists are pretty long sometimes. If you say, okay, I don't care about the optional stuff, just hide it, and it lists get smaller, and you see more what you need. Another button, this is useful, for example, if you have selected a single bundle. For example, here I selected Dropbox, the Dropbox SDK, and it shows you lots of requirements which also exist as imports in this bundle, so which could be resolved by the bundle itself. If you press this button, then all the bundles which Dropbox could already resolve itself are hidden. And then it looks like this. Yeah, and you see other stuff. So basically you can hide self-imports. Another one which I added is this exclamation mark. I think it came when you had, there was a problem, and I think you had two bundles providing the same package, but with different content. And I think it broke the rename dialog in Eclipse or something. And with this problematic bundle,
That was an Eclipse bundle.
and this helps you to find those problematic cases. For example, here you see all capabilities that have the same package name, but in the same version, but have different package content. For example, here you see, okay, I have in my repository, I have 2 times servlet HTTP, same version, but they appear here because their package content is different. So this might be a problem. Yeah? Maybe you can explain more what the problem could be.
they did package merging. They assumed split packages.
Split package.
And they were, well, was this normal metadata on bundles, so the resolver picked them together, installed them both, and then the runtime had only one choice. It should either pick one or the other to wire it to the, and so we were missing classes. So when you clicked on something, it activated the class, and that class didn't exist in the bundle that we had chosen.
Yeah.
It was just pretty bad.
Yeah, and this basically helps you to make it visible somehow, those edge cases. Okay, the repo browser. This is another. This is where you specify or where you see all the repositories. You have defined repositories contain all your dependencies. Yeah, you can have multiple repositories, and yeah, what I added here is I made this plus button. For example, if you open the build BND file in your CNF folder, now this plus button also shows the Maven BND repository, which is like the main repository, which was also mentioned in the docs. It didn't appear there, so this is now possible to add directly here. Yeah, then you can basically add a repository with a UI. What we also added is something new called tagging of repositories. You see the word resolve here. This is the tag of the repository. It's also the default tag if you have not used that in the past. This means all the repositories which have the word resolved here are used for resolving in the BND run editor when you press this magic resolve button. The driving use case for tagging was people want to exclude some repositories, for example, the baseline repository. This repository should exist, but not for resolving. Yeah? And how you can do that? You give it a tag which is not resolve. Yeah? So, for example, you could call it do not resolve or any other word, foobar. Resolve is the default.
We can add it by just right-clicking on it. How can I add the tag?
You go to your, I think I show it. You go to your BND run file. You can maybe double click or press the little pencil or go to the source view. Then you write your tag here. You can also do it in the source. It's another property called tags. Then if your BND run file does not specify the run repos, so you should just remove the run repos from the BND run, and then you should see a list like this without the baseline repo or whatever repo. This is maybe a bit of a UI thing. Once you click something here, it adds the run repos instruction to the BND run file, and then it always takes what's in there. It's a comma-separated list or something. So if you want to have, and then you have to basically manage it yourself. So remove the run repos from your BND, and then the tags work. So
maybe one small thing. Can you go back to the editor for the repository? Yeah, you now can also have, especially for the Maven repository, it's quite useful. When you release to Maven Central, you don't release directly to Maven Central, which means you always have to go through a staging repository. And now you can add the staging repository URL, so when you release, it will go to OSS Sonar type, but it will do all its checks if something is already available, a version or something like that. Something need to be uploaded against the release or snapshot URLs. So just as a useful side bit.
okay. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff was added. For example, right-click when you click on repositories or entries of repositories. For example, now you have these nice sub-menus, for example, called copy to clipboard. You can copy certain stuff to the clipboard. When is it useful? For example, if you're chatting with colleagues or discussing GitHub issues and some people ask you, okay, show me what you're using. You can just copy info is usually the stuff which you see in tooltips. If you hover over repository entries, you see a tooltip. And if you want to have that content, it's usually copy info. or just the bzen or the Maven coordinates. This is also, you see, this entry was there forever, where you can add compile time dependencies. If you just want to know what this will do, you can use copy compile dependencies to the clipboard. I will fix the typo in the future. So then you can paste it to your text editor, and you see, okay, what are the compile time dependencies of this bundle? Yeah, I found it pretty interesting without doing this. Yeah.
It would be also nice to copy the manifest directly from here. So copy the manifest, generate the manifest.
Feature requests are welcome.
Feature requests.
Well, you just double click on it, you get into the jar editor.
Yeah, that's like.
Developers are lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a few slides. There's another thing, another entry which was added is the update revisions. There's a BND, on the BND command line, there's also already this BND MBR update command, and it's basically a dependabot light kind of thing, which updates all your dependencies in your Maven file to the latest micro, minor, or major version, whatever you want. So these are the things which really do the update. It modifies your Maven, your MVN file, and the dry run is basically pretending to do this, but copies the stuff you do to your clipboard. You could preview what it would do, and you see, for example, if you paste this to a text editor, that okay, there are updates available for this bundle, and then you maybe go a bit more selectively and apply the changes to your repository. Another thing, Peter. Oh, sorry.
I've tried to talk to GitHub to see if we could provide this thing in Bndtools, because they already support Maven and Ruby and all these other things. It's a couple of years ago now, and they said no, but it might be an idea actually, because it works quite well.
I think we had this discussion in the car yesterday,
Yeah,
right?
we need Dependabot for.
And now,
So if something that you could get Dependabot when it's doing the updates to your dependencies to just fix the BND runs at the same time. There's nothing more annoying than it running through,
Oh, yeah.
doing a version update on
There is
something
an
and then
option on the BND run that he automatically resolves before he fires, and that works. I never store the run bundles in the BND run anymore.
so I would not choose to work that way for certain things like exports, where I absolutely want the checked in file is source as far as I'm concerned. The developers said that's the list of
That's
stuff.
different. That was I originally thought so, but it worked extremely well at the customer, and they're really annoying.
okay. Yeah, one other thing Peter added is, I called it magic repos. I didn't find a better name because the Java file is called magic BND. And what you can do is, instead of like going through the plus button I showed earlier, you could just add a pmvn file to your, somewhere in your CNF folder, for example the X directory, and when you refresh your workspace, you automatically get a repository here, and this file has to look pretty simple. Just add the dependencies like you always do, and you can like provide some magic comments, for example a name, a release URL, everything you know from the repos, also the tags, and you have this repository automatically without specifying it in your build BND. So yeah, pretty simple mechanism, and used by the template fragments I showed earlier.
That's why they were added.
It also works with OSGi repositories. Then you have to name the file pxml. POBR. And maybe it's coming also for Maven, for the BND POM repository. And maybe you then have to name the file pxml or something. I don't know. I'm just experimenting with this. If there's demand for it, I can create a PR. Yeah, what else? The advanced search got some, I made a little tweak which annoyed me. For example, the advanced search in the repo browser, it's this little flashlight icon. You can search for various stuff, for bundles. For example, we are looking for bundles containing or exporting the package JSON. And then you have a search result. In the past, you couldn't double click on them like you could normally do. And now you can double click on it and you go to the jar file viewer. And just one more slide about, or a few words about the jar file viewer. This is pretty nice, a nice tool of Bndtools, which allows you to view a jar file and specifically has a print. I don't see that for some reason. It has a source view and it presents the manifest in a readable way without the 72 character restriction, whatever. And it has a search, so it makes it easy to find stuff for debugging.
You're at the 10-minute mark, just because you want to switch at
Oh, yeah.
point. Yeah.
I think I'm almost done. BND core. Yeah, 2 minutes. We added something just recently for processing files in the meta-inf services folder. For example, if you're working with service loaders. Peter added something on request, so you can add annotations for in those services files, but annotations in comments. Yeah, so they are because when you will do this, you will do this if you don't want to have a hard dependency on BND annotations, but you still want to provide this metadata. Why? So that BND can generate the provide and require capability headers in your manifest. And just recently, we made it even more simple. There's a new instruction you can put in your BND file called meta-inf services auto, and then those headers will automatically be added even without those annotations. Yeah, let's look at an example. Let's say I want to wrap this Groovy library, just picked it randomly. It has a meta-inf folder with a services folder and this file here. In this file, it contains this one implementation. We create a BND file which says, okay, we want to unwrap this, unroll this jar. We say meta-inf services auto. And then in our manifest, we get those headers automatically generated with resolution optional. Why all this? If you work with service loaders and OSGi, it could be tricky because of class loader stuff, there are solutions like SpyFly, but as far as I read, SpyFly expects exactly those capabilities and requirements. BND helps adding them. Yesterday I learned that maybe in the future the OSGi runtime may handle this already. But this is future. One important thing for libraries out there, we fixed one thing in BND, that import packages, which are sometimes added because you have exports, they are not added to the manifest anymore. And in one specific case, when the export has no version, then the import will not be added. An example, in the past BND generated, for example, such a manifest. You have an export package here. You see a version 0, BND did this as a fallback because it used the bundle version as a last resort. And it also created an import package without a version. You see, here's no version specified. And this is a problem. Now, in 7.1, BND will still generate the export as it was before, but not the import anymore. So the versionless self-imports are gone. And this, why is this good? It can help to avoid surprising resolution problems because an import without a version means basically a version range for everything.
First thing it finds.
First thing it finds, pretty random, surprising. You don't want to do that. And there was a case with JSON. This was basically why I dug into that. Last but not least, Peter Kirchner, is sitting there. He added a nice oomph installer for Bndtools, which makes setting up a Bndtools workspace or Eclipse with Bndtools very easy. I'm done, basically. Yeah, and thanks for listening. Now it's time for Peter.
You had it